Hello everyone, welcome to the Tableau Consultant Certification Exam Preparation Question Series Part 3. If you haven't watched last two parts, please go and watch for the first 20 questions. Let's start with the question number 21. A Tableau consultant needs to create a visualization showing a running total of monthly sales within each region. Which advanced table calculation should be used? So here option is B, running sum of sales. So running sum of sales, the running sum function calculates the total of sales, which can be partitioned by month and region to show the cumulative sales over time within each region. So option B is correct. Window average sum of sales will calculate for the specific window, not a running total. Total sum of sale will provides the overall sum but not a running total, and it's used in a table calculation mostly. And index return the index of the current row in the partition, which is not useful to calculate running total or sum. So that's why answer option B, running sum of sales. Going to the next question. An analyst needs to calculate a difference between the current month sales and the previous month sales. Which table calculation should they use? So your option answer is A, lookup sum of sales minus 1. So this lookup function with an offset of -1 used to reference the previous month sales, allowing to calculate the difference between current and previous month sales. So this is the lookup, and with the -1 we can find out the difference between current and previous. Window sum is the parameter, does not directly give the difference, but it at the -1 and 0 we cannot use it. The previous value sum of sales returns the value of expression in the previous row, but without proper context it will not give us the difference. And window average sum of sales, window average calculates an average of over specific window, not the difference between current and previous. So answer here is lookup sum of sales -1. Moving to the next question. A company's fiscal year start in July. Which calculation correctly identify the fiscal year? Here option answer is a D. If month of date is greater than equal to 7, then year of date plus 1, else year of date end. So this is the calculation, if else calculation, which give us the fiscal years dynamically, and correctly adjust the fiscal year for the dates from July onwards to reflect the next calendar year, right? So year of date plus 1 does not give this, does not handle after the month after July. And date part year 1 date, so return the calendar year, not the fiscal year. Date part year date, it's written, it does not add or does not give you fiscal year, or it's not adding any year, but it's not adjusting our fiscal year properly. That's why remaining option is a D, this calculation if else statement. Moving to the next question. For a fiscal year starting in April, which formula returns the correct fiscal quarter? Here answer is option A. If month of date is greater than equal to 4, then ceiling month of date minus 3 divided by 3, else ceiling month of date plus 9 divided by 3. This is the calculated if else statement. This calculation correctly adjusts the month for the fiscal year starting in April and assign them in appropriate fiscal quarter, right? And this date part quarter date, it will give the quarter but does not give the fiscal quarter. Then ceiling month of date less than 3, this does not give the quarter, it will give it the quarter without the adjusting of the fiscal year starting in April. The before April it will not give the correct answer. And for this calculation incorrectly divided by 4, it should be divided by 3 for 12 months year in 3 months quarter, so it's dividing by 4, so it will give incorrect quarter calculation. So option A is correct. Moving to the next question. A consultant must calculate average sales per customer, then total those values by region which nested LOD is correct. So here option D is correct. This nested LOD expression first calculate the total sales per customer and then aggregate those totals by region and find the sales per region. So that's why option D is correct, and all other equations does not give the actual result what we wanted. Going to the next question. Find the maximum sales per product category across region, then average those maximum values. Which nested LOD is correct? So here option C is correct. This nested LOD expression first calculates the maximum sales value per region and then average it out for the specific product category. So that's why this satisfy our need or the requirement. That's why option C is correct. Option A is directly giving the max sale between those product category, which does this is not our requirement, and so do B and D. These are not correctly giving what our requirement is. That's why our option C is correct. Moving to the next question. A consultant needs to calculate year over year growth for each product category. Which calculation should they use? Here option C is correct. This combination of calculation uses the lookup function to find the sales for the previous year and calculates the year over year growth rate as a percentage. You can see the sum of sales minus lookup sum of sales minus 1. This gives the difference between current year sales and the previous year sales, and it's dividing by the previous year sales, which giving us the percentage year over year growth. Option first is just difference between current and previous. It's not giving us year over year growth. That's why option A is incorrect. Option B expresses do not correctly calculate the year over year growth. That's why again this option B is incorrect. And window sum function does not correctly calculate the growth rate for a specified time period because it's calculate only for the specific time period. That's why option D is incorrect. So option C is correct. Moving to the next question. An analyst needs a cumulative sales per quarter and the difference from the previous quarter's cumulative. Which calculation is correct? So here we need a cumulative sales. That's why running sum. Option A is correct. Sum of sales minus lookup running sum of sales minus 1. This innermost calculation giving us the difference between current and previous, and as we need a cumulative sales, we are using a running sum here. So option A is correct. Window sum function will not give necessary cumulative calculation in this context. This even the total divided by lookup ratio, not the difference. It's the ratio, it's not the difference between cumulative sales. Again the same, this formula calculates the ratio of sum of sales, not the actual cumulative sales. The option A is correct here. Moving to the next question. If nested if plus window sum calculation returns unexpected result, what is the first troubleshooting step? So here option D is correct. Break the calculation into smaller parts and validate each part. As validating each part separately, breaking the complex calculation into smaller parts and validating each part separately helps identify where the issue is occurring and ensure each part is functioning correctly, and you can find out which part having issue and you can rectify it, right? And change the visualization type will not solve the problem. Increase Tableau server cache does not address the root cause of the calculation issue. And add more data source. This can complicate the workbook and does not resolve the calculation issue. That's why breaking the calculation into smaller part and validate each part will be the viable solution for this. Moving to the next question. An analyst creates an LOD expression for a total sales per customer, but results are incorrect. What should they check first? So here option C is correct. Ensure correct dimension and aggregation are used in LOD. As verifying the LOD expression, use the correct dimension and aggregation function, ensure that the calculations is being performed correctly or not, and you are using correct dimension and aggregations are not. Using total instead of LOD will not help. It is not equivalent to an LOD expression and may not provide the correct result. That's why we cannot use a total function here. Increase the number of marks, it will not help, and it will affect the calculation of the LOD expression. So this will not our answer. And change the data blending setting is unrelated to troubleshooting LOD expression. So option C is correct. Ensure correct dimension and aggregation are used in LOD. Thank you. Subscribe for more.